I love football.
I love gambling.
Coming off a great football weekend.
Oh, that was
maybe
so much
the
fun.
best ever. Bills, Chiefs, high scoring, electric. Joe Burr, electric. 49ers, horrible game, honestly. Horrible game, but fun ending. Bucks almost came back. I'm happy with the Bucks season. I'm just gonna get this out of the way.
I can't be. I don't like not having Tom Brady in the playoffs.
As a Bucks fan, I had a ton of fun I had so much fun at the Super Bowl last year. I was telling you, that might have been the most fun I had last year. Like, that was one of the most fun days of my life. I wouldn't trade it for a thing. If we lose in the playoffs this year with injuries, no receivers, no AB, so be it. We'll come back next year.
I don't want it.
I'm happy with it. I'm all in on Joe Burr, though. Joe Burr for the Super Bowl. All in on the Bengals right now.
All in. All right. And read into this a little bit. Same game parlays last week at plus 300. We went 2 for 6. You know, at plus 300.
That's up.
I think you're up, and that's not bad. And especially with the craziness in those games, I think we did pretty decently. So we got another couple of free promo bets for you today, and they are rock solid.
Rock solid.
Featuring Patrick and Stex Gray, Simon Free Chicken Brishkovich. Welcome to Hops and Props.
All right, starting off the beers this week. This is actually a little bit new for Modern Times, one of the best places in Portland. Check it out if you have not. They're sour, tropical fruit, goose, whatever you want to say. I'm not going to be picky. Oh, I guess we're just going to start sipping now before we even cheers.
Cheers. Owned by a former co-host and still the third chair, if ever needed, Jordan Gregg. Part owner of Modern Times. That should be on the record.
This is absolutely fantastic. Goodness gracious!
I just brushed my teeth. So the sour right after brushing teeth.
That sounds like a personal problem.
I'm not gonna put my opinions on the beer out there because who knows how much the toothpaste is affecting it. I go mint with baking soda. Keep them white. Keep them white. Tough to go sour beer after.
It might be tough to go sour beer, but let me tell you, this won't be tough on you, and it won't be tough on your bank account. I'm so riled up right now. I'm getting so excited, Pat. It's starting to like really flow through me, you know?
Okay.
Well, all these stimulants that I'm on.
Last night I tweeted about it, and this is the truth. I have Stone Cold picks this week.
Yes, he does.
I have Stone
Absolute
Cold
locks.
picks this week. Absolute locks. Stone Cold locks. For those who didn't get my tweet last night, Stone Cold locks. I'm starting it off with the Bengals, with a young quarterback's most needed option. I'm talking tight ends. I'm talking fun last names. I'm talking Uzomah.
How were you saying?
And I'm going over 35.5 receiving yards for him. That's minus 115. I know it's not the greatest, but this line's been jumping. I actually got it at 31.5, but I think you should still take it at 35.5. He's done it in 3 of his 4 last games. He's had 64 or more yards in the last 2 in the playoffs where it's starting to matter. I like him to have 35.5 this week, and you should too.
Joe Burr is absolutely slanging this week and last week. And on top of that, consider how much yards the Chiefs gave up to the Bills. I love that pick. All right, my next pick, I love the Bengals, and I'll get back to that, right? But this week, a free promo on DraftKings, you have a $25 free bet, a same-game parlay. It's not a free bet. You put down the $25 same-game parlay.
You have to opt in.
You have to opt in. If it loses, you will be reimbursed for that $25. So it's essentially a free bet. My free bet, I took a plus 100. I'm being safe with it, and I love this one. Chiefs money line parlayed with Chiefs to record 3 sacks. Last week, the Bengals gave up 9 sacks, an NFL playoff record. The Chiefs are favored by 7 points. If I can get the Chiefs money line at plus 100 for a same-game parlay that's reimbursed if it loses, absolutely taking it.
I think the Chiefs' D-line is better than the Titans' D-line. I think Jones was just going off last week against the Bills. Like, he was getting to the quarterback. He was destroying the run. I think he might have 3 sacks himself. In my opinion, the Bengals can win this game. They did it 2 weeks ago. The only question mark, and it's a huge question mark, and it's how many times is Joe Burrow going to get hit? Because his O-line is not very good, and I think Jones gets through a bunch. I think 3 sacks is close to a guarantee, and I think this is a winner.
Yeah.
I'm on the Bengals this week, money line. I still took this. It's a great hedge. Speaking of that.
Speaking of great hedges.
My hedge. Crazy. Bengals plus 4.5 in the first half. I like the Bengals. I'm on a money line. I've said that a bunch of times already. I'm repetitive right now. Repetitively winning! Duh! Bengals plus 4.5 in the first half. I think the Chiefs are a second half team. They like to figure teams out. Andy Reid, one of the best coaches in the NFL. He's going to figure things out at halftime. That's what he always does. But the Chiefs are known to start a little slow. I think they're coming off an exhausting win last week. And I think the Bengals are going to come out and compete early. I think they're going to score early. They're going to come out to play. Big bad Chiefs? No. Big bad Bengals. Give me plus 4.5 in the first half. Too many points.
You have to consider the fact that they just went into an overtime game and scored 28 points in the last 2 minutes of that game. Those type of things tend to last with you for a little bit into the next week. All right. I'm keeping it on track. Bengals plus 7. I love the 7 points, especially considering they won earlier in the week. Pats on them first half. I still like them plus 7 for the full game. I think they're moving the ball super well right now. The issue is the offensive line. I think the Chiefs get to him, and it's essentially up to Joe Burrow to move the ball down the field, and I think he will. And it's not the fact that they just gave up 9 sacks last week. You go through those highlights, that offensive line should be put into prison for treason. For treason against their country. This right guard on the offensive line of the Bengals should not be in the NFL right now. This was the worst highlight tape I've ever seen. Blown back 7 times in a row, giving up 5 sacks in that game. This was not an anomaly. They are bad. So I think the Bengals can move the ball. Joe Burrow keeps up, but I don't think they're going to win. So I'm a little scared of that one.
I'm going to say right now that this show needs more Simon offensive line insights throughout. I would love if this became like a props, hops, and offensive line.
Honestly, hey, my offensive lineman of the week, I'll give it to you. Yeah. I mean, not right now. I got to do some research.
Next season, we're gonna add offensive linemen.
Boy,
to watch
do I love watching offensive lineman highlights. That is something I love.
We're staying in the game, same game still, right?
All right.
Staying in the same game, and then we'll take a break and flip to the other one. I'm going Clyde Allaire over 37.5 rush yards. This has been a tricky one because before his injury, he wasn't consistently doing this. The thing is, coming back from injury, getting 60 rushing yards last week in a game where they weren't really running a ton, I think 37.5 is too low. I think he does this. Clyde Allaire over 37.5 rushing yards. I think because of his success, 7 carries for 60 yards last week, they have to go to him more. They have to. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Go with what's working. Don't rely on like all the deep bombs.
That's a tough one for me because one of the most prominent things from that Bengals-Tennessee game is that the Bengals defensive line, boy, they are looking so good. They looked absolutely rock solid against the Titans. All right, but we'll get into a break. We'll go up after some more later.
Thanks to our ads. Thanks to our advertisers. Thank you for all the support this season financially. I'm going to stay.
Mentally, physically. I'm
going to stay with some tight ends. I'm going to stay with tight ends in the playoffs because that's what works. I'm going to go with Tyler Higbee over 41.5 receiving yards. He's done it in 5 of his 6 last games. His line, like 5. I've been on this. I've been on Higbee for about 4 or 5 weeks. His lines 4 or 5 weeks ago were like 25 receiving yards. Over. I was like, over. Hit. Over.
You have been on Tyler Higbee for a while.
Hit. Yeah, I'm going to keep riding. Ryder's going to ride. Tyler Higbee over 41.5 receiving yards. Let him prove us wrong, huh?
All right. I like it. I'm going to take that one. All right. And now, to address the elephant in the room. Everyone. Jimmy G. I'm showing the hair for this one. Jimmy G is not a bad quarterback.
All right, I can get behind that.
I said it.
Yeah.
Jimmy G is not a bad quarterback. So much so that the last time the 49ers and the Rams played each other in the regular season, game 1, went into overtime, 27-24, Jimmy G finishes with a stat line of 2 touchdowns, 320 passing yards. Are you kidding me? Against the Rams, get out of town. The next time they played, it was a blowout, 30-10. He only finishes with 180. But the thing is that he's a good quarterback, and in that first game, Brandon Ayuk finishes with 95 yards.
I'll do a check.
5 catches for 95 yards. It's escaping me right now. I was looking at it right before. I don't have it in front of me. Stat check.
Still
We'll
coming.
find it. We'll find it later. All
And
right.
week 1? No, not week 1.
Whatever.
When they played the Rams.
When they played the Rams the first week.
He had 26 receiving yards.
That is not correct.
But the second time he had 107.
There it is. Okay, 6 catches for 107 receiving yards. That is the game where Jimmy G finishes with 300 passing yards. He is a good quarterback. Brandon Ayuk is set right now at 48.5 receiving yards. For a guy in their last matchup who got over 100 or near 100, over 48.5 receiving yards, easy money. That is an absolute lock.
With 2 picks to give out left, let's talk about the game because neither of us have any picks on this game. I mean, I'm asking you, the 49ers have beat the Rams twice this year.
Yeah.
First time 31-10. I'm looking at it now, and the second time was the game that you were just talking about, 27-24 overtime, where I was on the money line. Credit where it's due, this guy. But can you beat a team 3 times?
All right. I'm actually very glad you brought that up, Pat, because I was looking at some statistics earlier. Since 2000, teams that have played twice in the regular season and teams that have won both of those games, so that includes the 49ers right now, and then meet in the playoffs are 14-8. 14-8 to win that game. So the Niners are on the winning side right now. One of those 8 teams, loser teams, was from the Bucs last year when they lost to the Saints twice in the regular season and then beat them in the playoffs. So essentially, if you don't count the Bucs last year, 14-7, that's 2 to 3 odds to beat this game for the Niners, and they're underdogs.
Yeah, the 49ers match up well, I guess. My worry is, as always, it's the defensive line of the Rams. The thing is, the 49ers quietly have like the best O-line in the league. They run the ball. They get downhill like no one other. They have the best left tackle in the NFL. He's all pro, first team. Is he right tackle or left?
Left tackle.
He is left tackle.
Yeah.
All right, and again, I'm going to say it again. I just said again 4 times in a row. Elijah Mitchell over 17.5 carries. That's the pick. Again and again and again. Put it through your head. It's happened in 6 last, I'm looking at my notes, 6 last above 20. Oh, his last 6 games he's had above 20 rushing attempts. Only 17 last week because it was a stinker of a game. So over 17.5 rush attempts at minus 110. Give me that all day. Give me it again, and then give it to me as a side with a little ranch dressing. But instead of ranch dressing, put Elijah Mitchell over 17.5 carries in a little bowl.
If you don't take any other pick this week except for this one, I'd say that. This is the most solid pick of the entire week. This man is set at such a low line. Pat found absolute gold. Man, what a prop. What a prop. I'm taking that. I'm taking it home to the bank, to my shareholders.
I'm excited that you took this one. Tell people about this one.
Okay.
This next one. Last one.
I'm officially on Pat's man. I gotta say, this is Pat's man. All right? Juwan Jennings, over 28.5 receiving yards. And I'm on it for the same reasons I was on it last week. Because in that matchup last week, 27-24, where the 49ers won, he finishes with 6 catches for 60 yards. That volume, that yards per catch, is so good for this line to be at 28.5 receiving. I think I'm taking the over. I think Jimmy G is a little bit under the radar right now because everyone wants to blow up the narrative that he's a bad quarterback. It's not true. In the Cowboys game, he beat them up in the first half, gets injured, second half looks terrible. In the second game, Aaron Rodgers, the MVP frontrunner, also looked terrible. It was a cold weather game, horrible weather. They both looked bad. I can't blame him. I think they go back this week into a good weather game. Jimmy G's going to light it up. And I almost want to say they win. The only difference between those 2 games last in the regular season is that the Rams have made significant upgrades to their team. Von Miller, Odell Beckham, game changers.
Yeah, but they were both there in week 14. Or
really?
week 16, whenever they
You're
played.
You're right.
Yeah.
Von Miller was there.
Week 18 it was. But this is my thing with the 49ers and Jimmy G. Is Jimmy G is he like a legit quarterback, or is he just playing awesome situations? The only teams he's played for is the 49ers, who have consistently been one of the most complete teams in the NFL. They're defensively always solid. They always have talented receivers. They always have a good O-line. Their tight end has been awesome for the last couple years. And he's coming from the Patriots. Like, the only places he's played are these amazing teams, and people still say he's bad. It's so hard to tell if he's, like, where he's at.
That is a good question because it's really, you can't, the 49ers are one of the most complete teams in football. One of the best O-lines, one of the best defenses. As far as weapons go, you got Debo, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle. And you got Mostert at running back, who's not playing this year, obviously, but that is a super solid offense.
And Elijah Mitchell's been killing.
Elijah Mitchell has been killing it as well.
I'm having trouble here.
I'm sorry, even Siri's getting frazzled by this. But a great coach. Jimmy G is a tough call. I think they move forward with Trey Lance next year because I think it's almost a system. Like, it's a system. I don't think Jimmy G is the best, but in this system, I think he works.
The system that the people are talking about, though, is the system where you take all our bets and you end up super rich.
That is a winning system. Because I'm telling you right now, my 4 bets, I feel 100%. I just heard Pat's bets. I feel 120%.
This is going to be a big financial weekend for us in the positive. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow us on social media.
Delicious.
Yeah, go buy a Fruitland's Modern Times beer.
Great.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Subscribe. Twitter, Instagram. Lot of DK promo
Hey,
bets.
you know what I can do now?
What?
Click here to subscribe, and click.
No way.
And click here to watch the best of video.
Thank you, Pat. That's awesome.